night. Now, I've actually been here for 6-7 days, and today I've just finished shooting for one film, and I was there from 7 o'clock this morning till just now, which is about 7 o'clock at night. And now I'm heading to do a second shoot, which will be going on overnight. So don't let anybody convince you that the actor's life is an easy one. It's hard work, and it can be long shoots, long days, and it can be tiring. So I've just arrived in my trailer, or as they usually say here in India, your vanity. Right now, normally, this is one of the perks of the jobs, is that normally when you arrive, you get put in your own room in a trailer, which is like a little home away from home. But here it looks like I have to share it with somebody. Sometimes I have to share it, which is okay, I'm not bothered by that. But some people can be a bit of a diva and want to have their own space. I tend to be pretty easygoing. And the vanities vary in terms of quality. Usually there's somewhere for you to lie down, obviously your seat, you've got your mirror, of course, that you would expect, and it's air conditioned because it's usually very hot outside. Which brings me to another point, as I mentioned on the way here, I want to be brutally honest and frank with you guys, and I think it's very important early on in these videos to just tell you the truth, because so many people come up to me, particularly here in India, and they go, oh, I've always dreamed of being an actor, or I want to be an actor. Often people who've had no acting experience, or they say, oh, I'm a big fan of Bollywood, I've always wanted to be an actor myself. And that's great to have dreams, of course. But I do want to be honest about the reality of being an actor, because many people have this idea that an actor's life is glamorous, that it's all about fame and fortune. Well, first of all, I'm not famous. Maybe one day I will, but let me tell you this, never do anything if the only reason you're doing it is because you want to be famous. The likelihood is, one, you probably won't become famous. You might do. But second of all, if you're only doing it to be famous, let me tell you this. Now, even though I'm not famous, like, I don't know from first-hand experience, although I've tasted a little bit of infamy, shall we say. I've done things where I was known a little bit. Fame is, as far as I understand, overrated. It can be something which can be extremely oppressive in many ways. It can be very restrictive on you, on your freedom, on the life and the freedom of your family, the people you love and care about. Be careful what you wish for, because fame can be a double-edged sword. Now, it can also bring you fortune. If you become a very successful actor, yes, it can be very well paid. But for most actors, it's not always brilliantly paid. Or you've got to remember that even if it is well paid, so for example, what I get paid is pretty good, but it's not a 9-to-5 Monday to Friday job. You know, I'm not doing it every single day, and I have to keep going for auditions all the time to get more work. So there's no security involved. Don't do it for the fame. Don't do it for the fortune, because the likelihood that you'll get both the fame and the fortune is probably pretty low. I'm not doing it for the fame. I'm not doing it for the fortune. What am I doing it for? I'm doing it because I love it. I've done acting since I was a child, or throughout my life at various different times, but I've also done other jobs as well. So I've been out there and I've lived a real life, had life experience doing other stuff, but I've always loved doing acting. I love the challenge of playing different roles. You've got to really love doing the job, because let me be brutally frank with you, it's hard. Okay, it's not hard like being a brain surgeon or being a rocket scientist or working in a factory for 12 hours a day. They're bloody hard jobs. But acting has its own sense of hardness as well. And it's also different whether you're acting in the theatre, which can be a bit more rewarding in some ways, because you've got the immediate reaction from the audience and the play just flows. When you're making a film, it can be boring, it can be long, it can be take after take of doing the same thing. It's a long, arduous process. Sometimes it could be filming what would only be seconds on film, and it can take an hour or 2 hours just to film it, and you have to do it over and over again. It's a lot of waiting, it's a lot of standing around, it's a lot of repetition, and it's a lot of being patient. You've got to be patient, but it really isn't glamorous. You know, you've got your trailer, but sets can be gritty, sets can be dirty places sometimes. There's a lot of action going on, people setting things up, rigging things up. And here in India, of course, it also can be very hot, can be very sweaty. And if you're not from India, that's another thing you've got to think about as well. And you could be wearing a big, thick costume, you could be shooting outside in the sun, you're getting sunburnt, you're getting hot, you're getting the sweat dripping down your back. It's hard work, and it can be long hours. Sometimes you can shoot and it can be done in a relatively short amount of time. Sometimes you could be there for a very long time shooting. It can also be a very lonely existence as well, because, you know, I've come to this shoot, I've come here by myself, and I'm working with a whole new bunch of people. I've just come from another shoot that was with a whole new bunch of other people. And yes, you meet lots of people, but it's not like going into an office every day and you see the same people every single day for years and years. So if your heart is not in it, if you are not passionate about acting, don't do it because you think it's glamorous, because it's not. And don't do it just because you want to get famous, because you probably won't. And even if you do, you want to be careful what you wish for. And don't do it for the fortune, because you probably won't make that much. But you might do, but don't do it for that reason. As a friendly bit of advice from me to you, an actor's life can be a hard life.